folks, we're going to get cranked up here with our webinar today. It's straight up on the hour here, so it's time to get going. Let's see. Let me start by making sure that people can actually hear me. If you look for the little hand signal there on your screen, you should be able to see something there that indicates that you should tap that and let me know that you're actually hearing me. I'll show you a little slide here that will indicate that for you. There we go. I see some hands going up. John, Griffin, thank you. Julia's on there. Jordan, Micah, Rob, Tanya, Thomas. Okay, everybody that's raising their hands there, I'm trying to kind of acknowledge that I see you there. Arbazine is raised hands, and okay, good. Looks like the sound's working just fine. Folks, let me go back to a slide here to show you who I am. My name is Patrick Phillips. I am the CEO and founder of American Business Systems. And this webinar today is live. We are broadcasting live from my home office, as you can see here. If you're watching the video of the live one, if you're watching a recording of this, of course, you don't see the video at the top of the screen there, but that's really me live here. And so we're going to get going by telling you a little bit about our company. Those of you who've been on these before know that we just kind of briefly tell you at least what we do. And then, of course, throughout the whole webinar, we let you ask questions in the little question box there that's on your screen. So if you can't hear your speakers right now, you need to be turned up probably. We're going to also indicate to you there on the screen, I think at the very bottom there in that little blue bar, it tells you that if you are not hearing correctly, you can also call in anytime you want to as well. But there's a little question box there that if you want to type in your questions during the webinar, you're certainly welcome to do that. And I'll kind of keep my eye over there on the question box to see that you're paying attention and asking any questions and try to address those questions as we go. I am a published author. These are books that you can find on Amazon.com or any major bookstore. And the one on the right is actually a marketing tool for you. It's a paperback book that you can purchase from us as an ABS licensee to market to the doctors and educate them on the advantages of outsourcing their billing to you. So that is one of the books that you can have. I'm going to show you at the end of the webinar how you can get a free copy of that book. So stay with us until the end here. American Business Systems has been around, as you can see from the logo up in the upper left-hand corner, for 20 years. We've been teaching people how to become self-sufficient, owning their own business, running their business usually out of their home. Most of our licensees still work out of their home, although a few have opened up commercial offices, as you probably saw if you were watching some of the slides there at the very beginning of the webinar. And these are just people from all walks of life, all economic strata, all backgrounds, all age groups that have decided to come through our training, become independent medical revenue cycle managers. We'll tell you a little bit more about that if that's not clear to you what all that means. But it basically means you help doctors get their revenue and help them do their billing to the insurance companies and to their patients. Ours is a web-based system, so it's cloud-based, and it's also the only integrated system out there that has not only the practice management, which is the billing side of the software, it also has an electronic medical records system that is web-based as well, that you can let the doctors use to actually see on their iPad, if they want to, while they're talking to their patients, all the data about that patient, and of course even enter new information as they're seeing the patient. We also have our own built-in clearinghouse that's integrated with our system, and so we're the real-time cloud-based integration of everything that you see there. We're the only company that has that in the United States. Now, if you haven't been to our website, the website address is at the very bottom of your screen there, and on our website homepage, there are two orange buttons. Click either one of them, and you can find out more about our business. The website itself has a lot of information, but once you fill out a little form there that gives us a little information about yourself, we'll give you access to what we call our virtual brochure. This is what it looks like. As you can see, it goes through all sorts of information up at the top about the opportunity itself, how we as a company help you get clients. We're going to talk about that today some. Training, all about our week-long training down here in Dallas, our ongoing lifetime support that you have, and of course, all about the technology that's behind what we do. So be sure and fill out that form and go find out more. You can also check us out with the Fort Worth Better Business Bureau. We have been listed there, as you can see, as an A+, and that is about as high as you get with the American Better Business Bureau. And so go and check us out there if you'd like as well. We're also the only company that's recommended, that's still in business, I should put, by Entrepreneur Magazine in their recent book on starting your own medical claims billing service. So you can check that out at any major bookstore and on Amazon.com as well. You're welcome to come visit us down here at our home offices. We have offices here in Fort Worth in a little suburb called Keller, Texas. And so you'll fly into DFW. Just let us know that you're coming. We'll pick you up at the airport. Or if you're here local, make arrangements to meet us all here at the office, and we'll give you a tour and let you introduce yourself and ask all the questions you want about us as a company as well. Now, folks, we do regular week-long training sessions down here in Dallas at a hotel, and you're welcome to find out more about that at the end of the webinar. I'll give you our phone number, and you can register for that. We have one coming up a week from this coming Monday. So if you're interested in this particular class, be sure and get with us, and we'll show you how to register for that by getting with your ABS rep. That one's filling up, so if you are interested in getting in that one, you need to act very quickly. All right, well, today's webinar is on how to market to doctors. And I know that's the biggest question probably most people have when they first look into our business, and that is, how is it that I'm going to actually go out and get doctors to listen to my story and want to outsource their billing to me, especially somebody who's brand new at this, just been trained on how to do it, but has no clients, no references, nothing. I'm going to show you how we do that through the webinar today and show you how that you can make a six-figure income doing that as well. So folks, we know that you've invested. If you've been on these webinars, we do these every Wednesday, and so some of you have been on these webinars, I know, for some period of time. So I know that you've invested a lot of time in learning about medical billing in general. You've been on the web. You've probably done all kinds of research and been very confused about what's out there about how to get into the medical billing business. And you've invested a lot of time and effort investing in this business opportunity. And you've researched the competition, and you've lost a lot of sleep thinking about the business and how you can make it work for you and your family. So today I'm trying to distill this down for you to help you realize that this is a good business to be in. It's a profitable business, and it can be a good business for you and your family. So even though you've invested a lot so far, continue to invest whatever it takes to make sure that this business is right for you. It's not right for everybody. We know that. What we do know is that the people who have come through our training are all out there being very successful in building their business, and you can too. So we're going to show you what this is all about. Today, I'm going to tell you what distinguishes us from the competition that's out there. Folks, there's lots of books. There's lots of courses that you can take. There's courses at your local college. There's books at your local bookstore that you can pick up on this business. But folks, we're the only company in the United States that offers these three items that makes this a successful business. It doesn't mean that you couldn't do it on your own, but why reinvent the wheel? We've already got the system in place with our full week of training here in Dallas and our ongoing webinars that we do for our existing licensees. I'm talking about we do another 50, 60 hours a year in training, just live webinars. And then we have our website that's specifically for our licensees that has another 70, 80 hours of training that's already been pre-recorded. Folks, again, we've been doing this for 20 years, so there's a lot of information out there for you. We're going to show you the tools that we're going to give to you during your stay with us as an ABS licensee, and show you how you can use those tools to go out and market to doctors today. Then we're also going to talk about something very unique, and that is we do actual live demos for your prospective clients. And I'll get into that a little bit more as we go along. But those are the three things that have made us very successful, and the reason why we've stayed around for 20 years with literally hundreds of people from coast to coast that have been very successful in this business. Now, let me just say this. If you went out and tried to market medical billing to a doctor by just saying, maybe you send out a letter or a postcard, or you approach them maybe in person and just say, hey, doc, do you need some medical billing help? The answer is what this doctor here is giving you. No, they don't feel like they need it. Why? Because they already have some billing that's being done right now, right? A doctor who's been in business for more than a day has figured out that they either do the billing themselves with their own staff, their own software inside their office, in-house billing it's called, or they've already decided to outsource that billing to someone else. So how is it that our licensees are signing doctors up on a regular basis from coast to coast? It's because of our unique way of educating those doctors that if they are outsourcing it, there is a better solution probably than what they have now. And if they're doing it in-house, we can certainly save them time and money and headache by taking that over and outsourcing that to us. What we do for people in our training and our support, folks, is to train and position you as what we call a revenue cycle specialist or a revenue cycle manager. In other words, we're positioning you as much more than just a medical biller, because you're going to help the doctor not only get the money from the insurance companies, but also their patients as well. And we're going to show you how to do that, whether it's current money or old money. There's ways of collecting that for a doctor and increasing their revenue tremendously. And when you do that, of course, it's kind of like selling, a $1 bill, $100 bills for a $1 bill. It's easy because there's value in what you offer to the doctor, as you'll see as we go through this. We position you as a revenue cycle specialist by giving you access not just to our online iClaim billing system and our EMRX electronic medical record system, but we also give you other services that you can offer the doctor as well that solve other aspects of their revenue cycle. So by truly giving you a one-stop solution for the doctors, you outdo the competition in any area of the country because no other company offers these types of services. So how do we go out and teach you to market to doctors? Well, believe it or not, one of the things we teach is word of mouth. Now, that may seem strange because you're saying to yourself, wait a minute, I don't even have any clients. How can I get referrals when I don't even have a client? How do I get the first client? Well, we're going to teach you how by using professional network organizations in your area. We're going to show you how to locate those organizations and become a part of them. And with very little time spent, you can go out and start building a network of literally people on the street with your business card in their briefcase ready to give out to other people, giving you referrals. It's called word of mouth. It's been around for years. Everybody agrees it's the best type of building a business, way to market a business. They just don't know how. Folks, we know how. I, for example, started a professional networking group here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area about 6 years ago and ran that for about a year to find out all the ways to network in the business community and find people who will give you referrals. Those referrals are like gold, and they are the best way to build any business. But most people don't know how to do that. We happen to know how to do that. We're going to teach you how to do that as well. It's as simple as this picture here. You literally can go to a breakfast or a luncheon, sometimes in the evening, mixers at different places that put you in contact with people in your community who are willing to refer you to other people. And we're going to show you how to do that even without any clients, even without any references, because we're going to provide what you need to build your credibility out there in the community. Some people don't want to do any kind of marketing at all, even though I'm going to show you a few other ways to do it. Here's one way you can do it without doing any of it yourself. You hire sales reps. That's right. There are people in your community who they love to sell. They love to go out and market and talk to people. That's how they make their living. And they make a real good living doing that, most salespeople. We're going to show you how to find those people. We teach you how to locate those people, interview them, hire them, train them, and even how to pay them. And so we'll get you up to speed with sales reps if that's what you need to get your business started. We know a lot of people don't want to think of themselves as salespeople. They don't like the whole concept of marketing. They want somebody else to do it for them. Well, there are people out there that do that. And by the way, they'll do that on a commission basis. So you don't have to worry about paying them big salaries and giving them cars and expenses and all that kind of thing, insurance and so forth. It's all on a contract basis. They're called contractors, and we'll show you how to hire those people and get them in place for you, bringing you the business, bringing you contracts, signed contracts, ready for you to get those doctors up and running for your billing. Now, we mentioned earlier about teaching you to be a revenue cycle manager. This is what we call consultative marketing. That is, folks, we're going to teach you how to go out and do what's called a practice analysis. Now, don't let that scare you. It's just a 3-page document that basically has a lot of questions on it that we've come up with, that if you can get the answers to those questions from the office manager, usually, not the doctor, but somebody who's actually doing the billing, you can provide a proposal to that doctor's office that will blow them away, that will show them you can do it much more inexpensively than they're doing it now, whether they're outsourcing it to someone else or whether they're doing it in-house. You can show them that you can be that person who can give them what they need in the area of doing the billing for them. This practice analysis, folks, we have spent many, many years developing. We've spent many, many dollars developing it, and we have continued to tweak this and hone this over the years to get it exactly what it needs to be so that you can sit with a doctor or an office manager, like I said, and actually find out specifically what it is that you need to know to come back and create what we call a proposal. Now, that proposal and the pricing that's involved in that, we help you with, by the way. We have templates that you simply drop in the services that you want to offer to that particular practice, and then we'll work with you on the pricing. We tell you that during our week-long training. Of course, we go into that in detail, but we will actually review those proposals for you to make sure that you haven't left money on the table or that you're not overpricing your services. So with our 20 years of experience, again, that's invaluable, folks, to have us look at those proposals, make suggestions for you, tweak them for you so that they give the most impact when you go back and talk with the doctors. This alone, folks, the fact that we're helping you with the pricing and proposals can save you thousands of dollars by not, again, underpricing your services. We also show you how to come back with that proposal in a very professional looking folder that we provide to you. You put your business card inside of that and the proposal inside that along with some of our literature, and you will blow them away with your professionalism. Again, could you do something like this on your own? Of course you could, but you would spend much, much more than our license fee developing these types of tools on your own. So again, why reinvent the wheel? Now, I mentioned earlier about the live demos for your prospects. This is so exciting, folks, because we're the only company that I know of that will let you go out and market your billing services to doctors and tell the doctor, look, if you'd like to see the technology that I can use and some of the reasons why I can increase your revenue, let me get one of my technology people, that's us here at ABS, to show you a live demo of our system. Now, doctors love to see the latest technology. So it's real easy to set one of these demos up. You basically can be on there. The doctor, as you can see in the bottom right-hand corner here, is watching this on their computer anytime they set up the appointment with you. Our technology people are actually running the demo, and yes, you can be at your home on your computer watching and listening to everything that's done. Now, here's the real huge advantage of that, folks. The advantage is that we know what we're talking about. You may not, but we do. So we can answer any question that the doctor throws at us about that demo, about that technology, and we're closing about, now get this, half of all the demos that we do close. That means the doctor signs the agreement and starts the process of using you and the system for their billing. So it's an invaluable tool. It costs you nothing. As an ABS licensee, you have access to this unlimited numbers of demos. As quickly as you can set one of those demos up using our online system for setting that up. There's a form online on our website for licensees, which you'll fill out. Folks, we'll do as many of those as you want. We love doing those because we know once the doctor sees the advantages in real time of our technology, they are sold. And usually the last question the doctor asks is, how do I get started? What do I do next? And that's, of course, up to you to get back with them, show them the agreement, go over it with them, have them sign it, give you a setup fee, usually several $100s, sometimes $1,500, $2,000 setup fee, depending on how many doctors there are in the practice, and you're off and running. So the live demos is a huge part of what we do, and you should ask your ABS rep to show you a live demo so you can see exactly what I'm talking about here for yourself. We'll give you the demo so that you can see exactly what the doctor is going to see even before you become an ABS licensee. And believe me, you too will be sold once you see all the features of our software provided to you live over the web. Now, I mentioned earlier that one of the aspects of what we do is our training here in Dallas. Folks, we take a full week We're the only company in this industry that's doing live training. Let me tell you why this is so important. Because you're in a classroom with, first of all, an instructor who has been through the class and started their business as well. That's right. We pay existing licensees who are running their own billing business to come in and teach you. And that's invaluable, folks. Now, again, me and my staff, of course, could teach you, but it's not the same as having somebody who's out there in the field day to day actually doing what we're teaching you to do. So you can ask that licensee during the class all the questions you want about how they run their business, how they got their first client, how they marketed their business. This is for you. 8 to 5, 5:30 every day. We're giving you a solid 8 hours of training during each day. We let out at 1 o'clock on Friday to let you get home for the weekend. But folks, this is a good solid 35 to 38 hours of training. And there's nothing like this. You're going to have other people in the class asking questions. We pause at the end of every module that we teach and show you the opportunity to ask questions. Let me just show you, for those of you who are on the live webinar now, again, if you're watching this recorded, you won't see this, but here is the actual training manual that we cover. Folks, as you can see, this is not something light. This is like over 250 pages of information. All sorts of topics are covered during that 5-day training. I'm sure you can't see this on the video there at the top of your screen, but those are some of the topics that we cover. As you can see, there's 26 topics there. We go through this in detail. These are the exact notes that you'll be able to take home with you. You'll use that manual to take your notes and learn about every aspect of our business, all of our services, and of course, we teach you about 10 different ways to market. Now, on this webinar today, I can only touch on a few of those ways to market, but anyway, you'll get the feel for the fact that we figured this out. And again, could you go out and do it on your own? Well, yes. My wife and I, when we started doing medical billing back in 1987, we learned how to go out and do that ourselves. It was a long, hard road, believe me. What I would have given a whole lot more than $25,000 to have what you guys have with our training package. The training, the support, that kind of thing, the pricing, the proposals, the live demos, all of that, folks, is invaluable, and we really can't put a price on it. So when we say that we're going to train you during that week to become a revenue cycle manager, and by the way, you get a certificate at the end of the week that says you're a certified revenue cycle manager. That means that we are teaching you every aspect of that doctor's revenue cycle, they call it. We've kind of illustrated it here with this little chart. And as you can see, it's everything, the receivables that has to do with the actual receivables from the patients, the reimbursement, the electronic records that the doctors have to use, the payment options that we offer to the patients, the coding. Yes, you can actually help the doctor with coding, and you don't have to know anything about the coding, by the way. We have people ask us, now, do I have to take a course on coding? Do I have to learn all those thousands of medical codes? No, folks, all that coding is built into our system. Our cloud-based system is always up to date with the latest codes. You don't have to know about any of that. In fact, our codes will even suggest to the doctor, using our electronic medical record system, which codes they should be using to maximize their revenue. And then, of course, we even teach the doctors about marketing, and we can help the doctor help them get more patients in the door, which is, of course, how they make their money. They shouldn't be focused on the billing. They've already made the money once they are doing the billing, right? What they should be focusing on is seeing more patients, and that generates more billing, which generates more revenue. So anyway, it's an educational process that we go through during that week. It's a full week, believe me. You will learn a lot during that. That's why we provide you in our package with all the marketing materials that you need, including DVDs with testimonials from existing doctors. People ask us, well, how do I get started when I don't have any references? Well, you do have references, because it's kind of like becoming think of it like this. If you opened a Century 21 real estate office and had gone through their training but had never sold a home, that doesn't really matter, does it? Because you've been trained by people who know how to sell a home. Well, as one of our licensees, you can tell doctors, I've just opened a local office. I'm a part of the nation's largest network of independent medical billing companies that are out there. And we do thousands of claims every day for hundreds of doctors from coast to coast. And when they ask if you have references, the answer is yes. Once you've got the doctor on a live demo, and once they've seen the demo of our system, the next thing they want to do is talk to a doctor who's using the system. We have those references for you. Dozens of doctors from coast to coast who will take a phone call from another doctor that wants to know whether or not they're happy with the service that they've gotten. We can give you those references. So that is not a problem. We also give you the book that I mentioned earlier, the Cash Crunch book, which I'm going to offer to you free at the end of this webinar. And of course, all the marketing materials that you need to get started as well. Now, I know we just touched on the ways to market to doctors, and we haven't gone into the details because, again, well, we take a whole week to do that. And folks, out of that week, we take a good day and a half to go through just the marketing aspects. So we take the first day and a half and go through the actual system. We bring in laptops. We let you have your hands on the laptops where you're actually using the system. And by the end of the first day, you've done medical billing. You have submitted, well, they're fake claims, but you've submitted using our live web-based system. We're connected to the internet right there in the hotel room. And it is real, true hands-on training. Then we go into all the other auxiliary services that I've shown you earlier that you can offer to doctors. We go into those in detail, and then we go into the marketing. And the last day and a half is marketing. The last half of the last day is about how to do your pricing and proposals. And folks, it is a very thorough training process. Now, the reason for all of that, of course, is because we want to teach you how to make money in your own business. So that's why I wanted to cover here in detail how we can show you how to make a six-figure income. And folks, from the slides that you saw earlier, if you were waiting while you were waiting, some of those slides are our actual licensees. Well, they're all our licensees, and some of them people have said that they're making a six-figure plus income, a high six-figure income in some cases. So not only can it be done, we can teach you how to do it as well. Now, let me show you a little bit about how you can learn how to find out how much money you can make on your own. We've actually built our standard website here. This is absystems.com. So that you can go up to the top there where it shows income potential. And the first choice is called Medical Billing Income Calculator. Now, when you go there, it's real simple, a little form that you fill in. Let me describe that to you. First of all, it wants to know the number of doctors that you'd like to have as clients. Now, as you saw from some of the slides there as we were getting going, we've got people who've got not just 4 doctors, but some of them have over 200 doctors. So it's a wide variance. When you get started, of course, you have 1 doctor, right? But then you add to that and referrals from doctors grow your business. So who knows what number you can eventually have. But I've used the 4 here because I thought, well, there's 4 weeks in a month. If a person wanted to know how much money can I make if I just wanted to work, less than the hours I work now on my regular job, which is probably 40 to 60 hours, what kind of money could be made? Now, I've also plugged in a number here in the little calculator for the number of patients each doctor sees per day. Now, I've got 20 in there, and folks, that, believe me, I've had people come through my training that have worked for doctors, and they say that's a very low number. A doctor could literally see 40, 60, 80 patients a day, depending on what type of doctor they are, of course. But 20 is very reasonable. I've been sitting in a waiting room when there's 20 other people, haven't you? So it's real easy for a doctor to see 20 patients. And then, of course, I've got the number of days the office is open per week as 5. Of course, some doctors close on Friday, for example, to get caught up or maybe to go golf. I don't know why they close, but in some cases, if a doctor's doing really well, he's able to close the doors one day. So again, you could adjust that to 4 if that's what you wanted to do to see how this calculator works. Now, we've also put in a percentage here for the charge. Let me talk about that just for a moment, because even though there's a 6 here in this example, folks, 6% is on the low end. We've had licensees charge 8, 9, 10% to doctors. It depends on the type of doctors, the volume of their claims, the dollar volume of their claims, and a lot of other things. A lot of other factors are involved there. But we can tell you that 6 is more than being conservative on this calculator that we're about to do here. And the same way with the average claim amount of $100. Now, folks, some chiropractors might average even $75 or $80. but there's many general practitioners who are $150 per visit. So this is a very conservative number here too. I tried to keep all these numbers conservative so that you don't feel like we're blowing smoke. Okay, so let's hit the submit button here and see what happens on our calculator. It goes immediately to the next page and shows that your total yearly gross income, that's before whatever expenses you have for your office, of $124,800 each year, servicing how many offices? 4. So when people tell me, what is it going to take for me to replace my current income, I ask them, well, how many doctors do you need to make what you make now on your current job? Do you make $124,000 on your current job? Then you need 4 doctors, according to the figures that we put in, which were all very conservative numbers. Folks, that's a $10,000, that's a 5-figure monthly income. Most people in America do not make a 5-figure monthly income, one person. And this can be handled, by the way, by one person, because look, let's go back to the numbers. 20 patients a day, that means that the most claims you would be filing for this doctor are 20 per day. But remember, there's 4 doctors, so that's 80. Now, folks, again, reasonably speaking, time-wise, it's only going to take you 2 to 3 minutes for each claim. So if you do the math on that, it's easy for you to do those 80 claims in one day. So just do the math on all of this and play with those numbers on our calculator and see what it comes out for you. So folks, again, this is how you make a 6-figure income in this business. We tried to make that as straightforward as possible. Of course, you're going to have some expenses out of this as well. Sorry, forgot to turn off my cell phone. That's a no-no during a live webinar, isn't it? $124,800. Now, folks, if you're doing like most of our licensees and working out of your home, you're not going to have that many expenses. If you're doing all of the data entry yourself and processing those claims yourself, then again, you don't have anybody to pay. Although somewhere down the line, beyond 4 doctors, you're probably going to have to think about hiring somebody else to help you there, to be honest with you. But at this level, you don't have a lot of expenses, I should say. You've got a phone line that you have to have. We're going to show you how to set up a virtual phone number, an 800 number, that when people call it and push a certain button, it can ring directly to your cell phone if you want it to. It'll be very professional line. Same way with a fax. You can use that same number for a virtual e-fax number as well. There's just not a lot that you have to spend unless you are continuing to spend money on marketing, which most of our licensees tell us that once they've learned some of the ways we teach people how to go out and market, after that, they don't have to do a lot of marketing. The referrals builds their business, and so it doesn't cost them anything. And we're going to show you several methods during that training week how to do marketing, and it won't cost you a dime, just some time on your part. So again, folks, this is a very profitable business. We have licensees who tell us they make $50 to $80 to $90 an hour doing this work, working from home, any hours you wish. Remember, there's no time limit on the internet. It's open 24/7, right? So you can do those claims at 3 a.m. in the morning if you want to, and you can work as long as you want, as comfortable as you want in your pajamas or however you like to work. And that's because it is a home-based business. Remember, the doctors don't visit your office. They don't ask if you're working out of your home. They don't care. If you can solve their cash flow solutions, their challenges with their cash flow, you become their friend very, very quickly. Now, there's one other thing I want to show you here about income. This is what we call a practice revenue report. This is actually a spreadsheet that we've designed that has certain calculations built into it, that once you put in the numbers that you get from the practice analysis you did with the office manager, remember that 3-page report, you can put that in here, those numbers in here, and look at what you can show the doctor. This is something you print out and include there with your proposal. All right, so let's take a look at this step by step. Now, I'm going to kind of zoom in here on this first figure. This is the number of claims filed monthly for this particular doctor's office. All right, so Dr. Doe here is doing 400 claims per month. All right, now again, that's a number that you'll get from them when you're talking to them. They know what that number is. Average dollar amount collected per claim. Now, we've got on here $125. Remember, this is the money that actually collected from the insurance companies. Now, they may bill more than $125 per claim. They could be billing 150, 170, but they're getting paid less than that, usually because insurance companies have based their payments to the doctors on less than what is actually billed. That's just pretty standard. And so you'll figure out what that number is from what they give you on the practice analysis. Now, look at this next line, because this is a hard one for some people to accept, 34%. But folks, if you've watched some of our other webinars, and if you ask your ABS representative, you'll see that we have documentation that shows that the average doctor in America, the average medical practice, has up to 34% of all the claims they submit rejected on first submission. Now think about that just for a moment. It means their uncollected claims can be 1/3 of the claims that they submit. Why is that? Well, there's lots of reasons why claims are rejected. First of all, the insurance companies don't want to pay anything, right? So they find every reason they can not to pay a claim. A lot of it, though, has to do with just pure human error. If the doctor's office is outsourcing to a billing company that doesn't have the technology that we have for our licensees, they could be having a huge rejection rate, and we've seen these rejection rates up to 60 and 70%. This is the average rejection rate that's out there in my example here. So what does that mean for the doctor? Well, first of all, those claims that are rejected can be worked by the office staff and resubmitted. But what happens is, in most cases, they don't take time to figure out what was wrong and resubmit the claim. So what happens is, by the time the year's end comes around, the doctor is told by their CPA to just write that amount off that they didn't collect. Well, believe me, doctors would rather have that money in their bank account than to write it off on their taxes. They can find other ways to get write-offs on their taxes. So believe me, they would rather have that much less than that. Now, let's just drop down, before we go into the other numbers, down here to the projected rate. Folks, you can confidently always go back to them and say that our rejected, uncollected rate projected for you, Dr. Doe, is 2% or less. Our actual rejection rate right now, the latest number is like 1.34 or something. It's ridiculously low. That's because, folks, we're using a cloud-based, web-based, real-time billing system. And that's why we can get that rejection rate down to 2%. Now, as we go through the numbers here, most of it's self-explanatory, but you see the little red tick marks there on our spreadsheet. When you hover over that cell, a little note pops up that explains to you exactly where that number comes from and what it means. And so this particular one, the 33,000, is pretty simple. That is the average claim of $125 times 400 with a 66% acceptance rate. That's simple to do the math on that. So the doctor's actually collecting $33,000. Now, he's paying right now to some outsourced fee, maybe to another billing company or his own staff, some money, $3,500 plus another $3,500, about $7,000 right there. Then he has his monthly software subscription and upgrades and support fees of another $1,500 a month. So he's really just netting out of that $33,000, $24,500. Now think about the money that was left on the table, the difference between $24,500 and $33,000, whatever that is. It's a lot of money, right? With our lower rejection rate of only 2%, we're going to be collecting not $33,000, but $49,000. And even though you're going to be charged, I think in this particular, the number here is behind the scenes where you can't see it, but we've calculated that percentage. I think this is based on 7% that you're charging this doctor. So yes, the doctor's going to be paying you $5,700 for you to collect this money. And he is going to have some software support fees and a monthly subscription to utilize you for your system. They pay for that. So they're only netting $43,690. Only, folks. Remember, the difference here is the difference between the $43,000 though and the $24,000 that they're currently netting. So it's a tremendous increase in revenue. It's a 78% increase in this example, or another $19,190 per month. Yes, that's almost $250,000 a year in increased revenue for this doctor. Let me take a drink and ask you a question. If you were Dr. Doe, would you want to know more? Of course you would. The numbers don't lie. The bottom line is the bottom line. And folks, this is the kind of tool that we've developed that makes it easy for you to market to doctors. Why? Because this does all the selling for you, does it not? If you were Dr. Doe, wouldn't you want to know, how can we test this out? How can we get started to find out if this is true? If it is, I'm losing almost $20,000 a month. And so, of course, you're going to want to know more. Now, I'm going to take just a moment here, glancing over to the side here, and answer a few questions that I see coming in. John is asking, how long is the typical demo? John, the demo that we're doing for licensees right now is an average of about an hour. Now, we ask you to set aside an hour for the doctor, but sometimes you can tell the doctor it can be as little as 30 minutes if that's all the doctor has. But we tell you to tell the doctor that it could take up to an hour depending on how many questions they have. So the average demo is actually about 45 minutes, but the doctors will ask questions for another 15 minutes or so. So you can safely say that it's at least an hour. And we've seen these go an hour and a half, 2 hours. And that's okay. If that's what the doctor wants and they want to continue to ask questions, we're all for that, believe me. Let's see. Okay, here's a couple of comments for people who are trying to get on. Okay, let's see. Ellen says, if a doctor is in a practice with others, do you count the entire practice as one client, or do you have to try and convince all of them to become your client? A great question, actually, Ellen. It depends on the situation. If they're all billing under the same, what we call a physician identification number, the same number basically on their submission of those claims, then it's just one client, no matter if there's 5 doctors or 100 doctors. Sometimes in some practices, though, each doctor bills under their own practice PIN, which is sometimes even a good thing, because you might be able to say, let's get started with doctor number 1, do their billing. That will show all the other doctors in the practice what you can do for that one doctor, and then they all will move over and let you start doing it. We've seen that happen in many cases with our licensees. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Julia says, will this program work for a NMET? Sorry, Julia. I'm sure that my support people know what that acronym stands for. I'm the CEO of the company, so what do I know, right? So you'd have to kind of describe that for me and let me know what that NMET. Sorry, that's just not familiar to me. Remember, I've been out of the actual billing side of the business, me and my wife now, for a good 15 years. So just not keeping up with that like I should, I guess. Okay, Rob says, please briefly cover and list specific marketing techniques to get these documents in front of the doctor. How specifically do we get a sit down with the doctors? Well, Rob, let me just put it this way. Most people who get into this business think that that's the first thing they need to do. So what they'll do is they will actually go out and try to market their business using some of the techniques that you'll find in, well, one of our competitors has actually published their own book. Yeah, you can get this on Amazon. And in this book, one of the things he says to do is to just mail out letters to the doctors in your community and tell them that you've just opened a brand new billing service and you'd like their business. I can assure you that that might have worked back in 1987, but it doesn't work today. And most people think that you need to have a sit down with the doctor themselves. Now, in some cases, if it's a small practice, the doctor may be the one, or him and his wife, or vice versa, the wife and the husband might be running the practice, and they are the ones that you have to meet with. We have ways of actually getting time with a doctor and putting things past the office manager into the doctor's hands, if that's what you feel like you need to do. Believe me, most of the information will come from the information that you get from the office manager, and then that's conveyed to the doctor. Now, if you're wondering how do we get the appointment with the doctor, that comes through the proposal that we come back with, and I'll show you how to get that into the hands of the doctor, him or herself. They're the ones that will make the ultimate decision. We know that, right? And so we'll show you how to get in front of them. We have about at least 10 different ways that we're going to show you how to specifically get a sit down with either the office manager or the doctor to get what you need to get the business. Again, we've been doing this for 20 years, so you just have to kind of trust us that we know what we're doing when it comes to having those meetings with the office manager or the doctor. Let's see. Stephen says, if billing is in-house, are office managers reluctant as using ABS may reduce their importance? Stephen, you know what? I thought of that back in 1993 or 4 when I started actually doing marketing for my wife. I wanted to learn all the different ways to market to doctors so I could train other people how to do that, right? And the biggest thing I ran across was that those office managers sometimes were a little bit afraid of their position. That is, they were afraid that they might lose their job, because if they're doing the billing, right, themselves or overseeing the billing, then they might lose their importance to the doctor. So what we do is we go in and we'll teach you how to reallocate the personnel in a doctor's office so that they never have to let anybody go. We don't want that to happen, do we? We want jobs to stay just as they are. So what we do is we teach you how to get that office manager on your side, because we're going to make her or him the hero in the eyes of the doctor. That's right. We're going to position it so that the office manager is the one that's bringing this solution to the doctor that will not only take the burden off of him or her for doing the billing themselves, but bring the doctor more revenue and free up the staff to help the doctor see more patients, if that's what they want to do. Because remember, seeing patients is the only way a doctor makes money. If they see more patients in a day's time, let's say they see only 2 more patients a day even, that's 10 patients a week, that's 40 patients a month at $150 a patient. So it is going to increase their revenue. On the back end, we're handling all of the billing, bringing more money in than the doctor has coming in now. And believe me, everybody becomes very, very happy. Those office managers, Stephen, are, believe me, the worst thing that they hate about their job is having to deal with the billing. It's just that they have to do it because that's a part of their job, or at least they thought it was when they got hired. In many, many cases, what they'd rather be doing is dealing with the patients directly and helping the doctor help people get well. So I hope that answered that for you. Okay. Julia gave me the answer to her non-medical emergency transportation service. That must be similar to an ambulance service, Julia. I'm just assuming. Believe me, there are people making 6-figure incomes just doing the billing for ambulance services. But I don't know about the transportation. Well, again, let me go back to that. If it's non-medical, then it may have to do, of course, with transporting elderly people maybe from one place to another. Those types of services, if they can bill Medicare for their services, yes, you can do the billing for those as well. Maybe that answered your question there. All right. Julia says she's opening something like that up. Interesting. My targeted market is physicians. Well, yes, I can see, Julia, how that would be a great referral from physicians to get you those clients too. All right. Micah says, doctors' offices seem to be learning more towards joining health systems and hospitals. These systems have their own billing department. How does this affect ABS licensees? Well, Micah, you're right. There are doctors out there who are being bought up by the hospitals, the big hospitals and other organizations out there. They don't want to go out of practice and become an employee for the hospital, but some of them do because they're struggling. Again, they're struggling from a revenue standpoint. Believe me, if they had the choice, what they would do is increase their revenues so they can pay themselves and their staff and stay in practice. And we've had many, many licensees tell us that they've run across doctors who were with a hospital or an organization and decided to get back into private practice because they just become employees. They have to work unbelievable hours, whatever the hours they tell them to work. They are limited in their income, and they don't like that situation at all. So it's happening. It's a part of what's happening in the transition. A lot of doctors are not wanting to deal with the Affordable Care Act, for example. So they're allowing the hospitals to buy them out. But believe me, there are many, many other doctors out there that have said, you know what, I like being in practice for myself. I'm going to do whatever it takes to stay in practice. You can salvage those. We've had licensees tell us that they've actually salvaged a medical practice, kept them in practice because they changed the way, their cash flow situation so dramatically. Okay, well, that looks like all the questions for right now. Let's see, here comes one more. Rob says, does your developed system focus only on the billing traffic between the doctor's office and the insurance company? Or does your system also handle and deal with collections from debt owing patients as well? Well, actually, there's two things there that I can address concerning the patient side of the doctor's revenue. Our system actually has the billing for the patients built into it, of course. And with the push of a button, we, behind the scenes, can mail those patient statements out from the system with just the push of a button on your part. You don't have to do anything. Now, what about the patients, of course, who are not paying their bills, which is pretty common, in medical bills, right? There are collection agencies out there who specialize in collecting for doctors, but that can upset patients. They don't like being contacted, and called by collection agencies. So we have a service that's called Quick Collect that you as an ABS licensee can offer through the doctor that will actually collect more, on average, twice as much as what an average collection agency can collect. And you don't do any calling. You don't mail out any letters. It's all completely online, web-based, automated system. You're going to love it when you see this in our training class. Or ask your ABS rep to tell you a little bit more about that, Rob. I think you'll be very interested in what you can do for the doctor's patient revenue side with the Quick Collect. Let's see. Ellen is saying, would it be better to target new practices who don't have everything in place yet, or old practices that are stuck in their old ways? Well, Ellen, actually, we've had licensees successful with both. New practices, of course, don't have their billing in place. They don't want to invest in the hardware and the software and the support and the training and what it takes to get up to speed on doing billing themselves. And you can handle that for the new practices. But we also have many, many doctors that are already out there that, yes, they have been doing it a certain way for many, many years, but they've all begun to realize that they can't focus on both sides of their business. A practice is a business, right? It has to make a profit to stay in business. And so one side of their practice is the clinical side, that is seeing the patients and helping the patients get well. The other side is the business side, where they actually have to bill the insurance companies and Medicare and the patients to get their revenue in. So doctors are realizing more and more that that is not something they want to focus on. They need to focus on the clinical side. They can't run two businesses in one. They're not good at both. In fact, anybody who's ever worked for a doctor will tell you that they are the worst business people on the face of the earth. My apologies to anybody who's on here that is a doctor or a relative to a doctor, okay? But that's a fact. I've had doctors tell me that themselves. They have very little training in how to run a business, maybe how to balance their books, and that's about it. Now, having said that, let me say this. There are licensees, of course, out there who are going after the doctors and educating the older doctors on the advantages of outsourcing. That's one of the things my book does for the doctor. We'll show you how to use that book, how to mark it up, put some little stickers in it that have some highlighted passages to give that to a doctor that educates them on the need for outsourcing that to someone else. We just last week gave a statistic. I'm sorry I don't have a slide for this today, but we found out from a site called blackbookrankings.com that 42% of all practices who are currently doing their own billing with their own staff are looking to outsource their billing within the next 12 months. Now that's good news, folks. 42% of the doctors that are still doing their own billing are looking actively to outsource their billing within the next 12 months. So it's a wide open window of opportunity for people out there in today's world. Let me see what time it is here. Wow. Okay, we got just a few minutes here. I'm going to see if I can address 2 or 3 more questions, then we got to move on. Amlish says, can we bill to durable medical equipment companies and home health and hospice agencies? Yes, you sure can. Julia says, will the program allow me to bill for charges through my company, such as electronic billing, automatic scheduling, treatment of patients? Julia, I'm sorry, that question is a little involved there, and I probably need to get one of my support people involved in that to answer that. This will be passed on, by the way, to your ABS rep, the people who sent you the email for this webinar, and we'll try to answer those in detail for you. Micah says, somewhat off topic, but the cost of gaining a license through ABS, does that include marketing materials, et cetera, to use to give to the doctors, or would this be additional cost? No, actually, our licensing fee, Micah, includes over 2,000 pieces of marketing materials, including our testimonial DVDs that I showed you earlier, my books, and all the brochures and marketing materials that I've shown you during this webinar. That's all included. Now, if you run out, of course, before you get your first doctor, you could reorder, but we have very few licensees who have to reorder those. Okay, well, folks, I'm going to move on right here. Let's see, I did a meeting. Okay. I'm going to move right back here to, let me see how I do this. I think I show the screen and then get back to my keynote, and that should take us back to a slide here. And I'll just wrap it up today. First of all, thank you for being on here. If you are not ready to come to our August training and need to do some more due diligence, just continue doing that due diligence and let us answer all your questions. You can also attend all of these webinars that you want to. They're free each week. We do these each week at 3 o'clock Central Time, and ask your ABS rep to sign you up for the next one. The training that's coming up, by the way, is very interactive, guys. This is not just a lecture. You will look at the end of every day, you'll look at your watch, and you'll go, how in the world could this day be over? It's that interesting and that exciting. Again, the instructors that we use are trained to keep you involved with hands-on exercises. We have all kinds of ways of keeping you involved and learning with hands-on learning what this business is all about. So if you're interested in coming to the training, then be sure and get with your ABS rep and find out how to do that. Let me show you our money-back guarantee, by the way, the only company in America that lets you come to their training and at any time during the training workshop. That means after day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, at the end of the whole thing. If for any reason you don't think this business is just right for you, perfect for you, simply tell any staff member and they'll arrange for you to receive a full refund of your license fee. I know you're wondering how we do that. It's because that hasn't happened but about 3 times in 20 years. So watch the testimonials on our blog. Go to our website under news, go to our blog and watch some of the testimonials recently from people who've been through our training, and you'll see why that's a great guarantee. Now, I told you that I was going to show you how to get a copy of this book. We're going to send this to you by email as an ebook, but it's exactly the same book that you would get if you went and bought it on Amazon for $14.95. All you need to do is to get back with the person who sent you the email to get you to this webinar, and they will get you a free copy of the ebook version of this book by return email. So you can do that right now as soon as you get off the webinar. The next training, again, is August 11th through 15th. People are always asking us about the next one. Folks, we sometimes know what those dates are. Sometimes we hold those dates to see how many people are actually going to be in a class. This class next week It's actually not going to be completely full, but it's because it's August, it's school time, and those things happening for some people. But it'd be a great class to be in because smaller classes, you get that much more attention, you get to ask that many more questions, you get to know the other people in the class better. It's just a real good situation. If you can make it, be sure and get with your ABS rep because you got to get your hotel reservations made and, of course, your flight reservations as well. So I'll leave that up there. Sorry, I took that off. But I'll leave that up there here as we close up the webinar. Thanks again for being on here. I hope I see you all at some upcoming training class, or at least on our webinar next week as well. Thanks for being with us.